स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। Om Namo Narayanaya. Namaskar to all of you. Welcome to the study of the life and teachings and complete works of Swami Ramakrishna Ji Maharaj, was called Shishibhushan Chakravarti in his pre-monastic days. I will now take up some of the newly collected teachings of Ramakrishna Ji Maharaj, who is telling those sayings about Sri Ramakrishna. Swami Ramakrishna Ji Maharaj, while talking about Sri Ramakrishna, he starts with this discussion. In this world, the tie of love alone, we think, is the cause of happiness. People enjoy family life because of this sweet bondage. It is for this bondage that a person builds a home, weaves a cloth, saves things in a safe, locks the door, and dresses himself with knots. A man or a woman who has no such bondage is a mendicant. Even Ramakrishna Ji is telling you, notice a beggar. Even a beggar ties into a bundle his old, torn, and tattered rags, lest he should lose them. So he is so attached. The bondage for those tattered and torn, dirty rags and broken vessels is so much that he ties it in a knot. So much of bondage, so much of attachment, so that he should not lose them. So bondages of some kind or other are indispensable for a person living in this world. But Sri Ramakrishna, Shishi Maharaj is telling, but Sri Ramakrishna feared any kind of bondage. You know, he was a realized soul, he was Avatar Purusha. What fear to him? He feared bondage. So he didn't want himself to be bound by anything. No pasha. Ashtapasha, 8 fetters they call. He didn't want to be bound by any fetters, any bonds, or any attachment. His only attachment was God. So Shashi Maharaj is telling Sri Ramakrishna feared any kind of bondage. Bondages bind the soul. Why? Why did Ramakrishna fear bondages? Because bondages bind the soul to the world. Vishaya Vastu, worldly things, materialistic things. Bondages bind the soul to the world and do not allow him to reach God. Bondages bind the person to the world and it will not allow him to reach God. That is why Sri Ramakrishna feared. Whatever would take him away from God, Ramakrishna feared that. That is bondage. These bondages, this attachment, rob a person of his precious freedom. Again, Why did Ramakrishna fear these bondages and attachments? Not only it will take away all of us from God, not only the bondages bind the soul to the world, but bondages also bind, the bondages rob a person of his precious freedom. We all want freedom, everybody. You ask, you see the newborn child, it is trying to crawl out, it wants freedom. You put a baby hurdle to the door so that the baby will not go out. You put a baby hurdle for the cot or the cradle of the baby so that it will not come out. Even the little baby wants freedom. The puppy, the dog wants freedom. The cat wants freedom. The electron in the atom, which is going around the nucleus, it wants freedom. The valence electron will be trying to go out of that orbit, of its orbit. The planets are trying to go out. Everything wants freedom. You ask a just blooming teenager or a youth, why don't you want religion? Why don't you want the do's and don'ts? Why don't you want to discipline yourself? And that just blooming youth will tell, I want freedom. Everybody wants freedom. But you don't know that these bondages, these attachments will bind you and it will rob you of your freedom. So the bondages, Shishi Maharaj is telling, they rob a person of his precious freedom. Bondages do not let a person heart expand. So these are the many reasons why Ramakrishna feared bondages. You saw it, isn't it? So many reasons. See, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4. Sri Ramakrishna feared any kind of bondages because bondages bind the soul to the world. Bondages do not allow him to reach God. Bondages rob a person of his precious freedom. Then finally we are saying bondages do not allow you to expand your heart. Bondages do not let a person's heart expand. Shishi Maharaj continues, he who wants to drink the divine nectar of God or wants to move freely and fearlessly in the realm of Maya, this transmigratory existence, this realm of Maya, should not have any ties of attachment in his heart. He who wants to drink the divine nectar of God or wants to move freely and fearlessly in this realm of Maya should not have any ties of attachment in his heart. In fact, Shishi Maharaj is telling Sri Ramakrishna had such a terrible aversion to being bound that he could not lock anything in his room. He would never lock his room. He would not bolt his room at all. He taught the same to Vivekananda and other direct disciples who would become mendicants or monks. No bondages. He would not like to lock his room. At the same time, he would never bolt his room. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna had such a terrible aversion to being bound that he could not lock anything in his room. Also, he could not even tie his own cloth around his waist. Someone had to do it for him. His nature was like that of a 5-year-old boy. For this reason, the Divine Mother engaged several attendants to look after him. And they felt blessed to be able to serve this great soul. Have you seen while they are doing puja in India? While we were doing puja, we were asked to not wear any stitched cloth while doing puja. While we are going towards God, why should not we put any stitched cloth? See, the cloth we use, the dhoti, the uttariya, the traditional purohits in India, they don't wear the upper cloth. They just cover the thing with a chadar or this uttariya, and dhoti is used. And that too for sannyasins, the kacha dhoti is not used. Why? Because there should be no bondages while going towards God. Stitched cloth, see, this is not stitched, it is woven. If you stitch at the edges for keeping it good, then that is again stitched. For puja, you can't use any stitched cloth. So the woven cloth, weaved, it is not stitched. It is weaved. There is no stitching to show that there is no bondage. Now you can understand why the different dresses of India while doing puja, they were the whole goal, the whole highest concentration, focus of Indian civilization was God realization, the search of truth. So no bondages. So you see the ideas behind it. You have to grasp the ideas, the principle behind it. So while going to puja, why do we wear unstitched cloths? Because when you are going towards God, should have no bondages. Sri Ramakrishna, Shishi Maharaj is telling, Sri Ramakrishna knew the Divine Mother Kali was his real mother. Now, we have to establish relationship with God while we are moving in the beginning stages of life. But establish some sort of a relationship, either as a friend, it's called Sakhya Bhava, or the relationship can be of a master and his servant, Dasya Bhava, just like Hanuman. Sakhya Bhava, Arjuna, that is the relationship as a friend, Sudama, Arjuna with Krishna. Then we have the Vatsalya Bhava. You can establish relationship with God as you being a father or mother, and the God being your child, your daughter or son. So you can establish relationship with God in that way. There's so much of freedom in this religion called Hinduism. You can establish, that is called Vatsalya Bhava. So you can establish relationship as God as the husband or the lover, and the devotees, maybe man or woman, you can yourself assume the attitude of a girl or a woman and have relationship with God as the husband or the lover. That is called Madhura Bhava. So Sakhya Bhava, Madhura Bhava, Dasya Bhava, Vatsalya Bhava. So in Vaishnavism there is one more, that's called Shanta Bhava, no attitude of enmity, just like the rishis and the munis. So some relationship should be established with God. Then only you can move forward quickly in the beginning stages of your life. And in the tantras, in the shakta, there are different other bhavas. The filial attitude, considering God as the mother and the aspirant as the child. So mother-child relationship, or or like father-child relationship. So these are all the different bhavas, the relationship with which you can go towards God. So Ramakrishna, though he took up so many different ways, all the bhavas, the different relationship and attained, but all through his life, the common bhava or relationship was God. He assumed the Parabrahma Swarupa, the Nirakara Nirguna, formless, attributeless God as his mother, and he himself as the child. So this was the common attitude, bhava, with which he maintained that relationship all through. Though he might have reached the Advaita, oneness with God, whatever, in the ordinary plane, would be always having this filial attitude. He used to cite the example of Ganesha. Like Ganesha had that attitude of seeing mother everywhere, his own mother, Parvati. So the same Mother Parvati or Kali or Durga, Ramakrishna considered that Parabrahman, the Paramatman, as his mother. Sri Ramakrishna knew the Divine Mother Kali or Durga or Parvati, whoever, whatever, was his real mother. As a child is unwilling to leave its mother's lap, so also was he, that is Ramakrishna, reluctant to be separated from his beloved mother. He lived with the Divine Mother all the time and fearlessly floated in an ocean of bliss. So, how can you move about freely without any fear, without any attachment in this world of Maya? So, Ramakrishna has shown the path. With this attitude, pure attitude, the filial attitude. So, Ramakrishna lived with the Divine Mother all the time and fearlessly floated in an ocean of bliss. Ma Anandamai, he used to call, floated in the ocean of bliss. He knew very well that one cannot have pure bliss anywhere in this world except from the Divine Mother. For this reason, he used to guide the seekers of bliss. For this reason, he used to guide the seekers of bliss to the Mother. In reality, as long as you regard all women, see the secret. In reality, Ramakrishna is telling, as long as you regard all women as your mother, they also look upon you as their child. But the moment you look at them with lust, you are possessed by a strong desire to marry. And once you are married, the responsibility of maintaining your family is on your shoulders. Before your marriage, you were living without responsibilities and in great bliss and freedom, both men and women. You were taken care of by others. But once you accept the bondage of married life, you become scorched by the fever of anxieties. You carry on your head the burden of misery and lead a troubled life. Your forehead is wrinkled with anxieties, and peace of mind has left you forever. That is why Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Look, look at the newborn calf, the just born calf. Have you looked at it? So Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Look at the newborn calf, how it skips about in great glee as though it is born to live in joy. But from the day the rope is put around its neck, from the day the rope is put around the neck of that baby or that calf, it looks depressed and its happiness gradually diminishes. Before this bondage, before marriage, a person is happy as the calf. But when the rope of worldly ties is put around his neck, happiness deserts him. So, what is the source of happiness? Freedom is the source of happiness. But don't get confused with the freedom of your senses. So, freedom for your senses is not freedom, it is freedom of your senses. That is what Ramakrishna Ji, I always quote this. That saying was from Ramakrishna Ji. Do you want freedom for the senses or do you want freedom of the senses? This wonderful saying was given by none other than Shashi Maharaj or Ramakrishna Ji. Freedom is the source of happiness. Freedom makes a person all powerful. Freedom makes a person all powerful. Sri Ramakrishna never lost his freedom. The moment you get into bondage, you lose your freedom. Sri Ramakrishna never lost his freedom. No ties could bind him. Moreover, his heart was as broad as the infinite space, so he could expand his heart. So Ramakrishna's heart was as broad as the infinite space, and that is why he could appreciate all the religions of the world. And that is why Sri Ramakrishna could appreciate all the religions of the world. Ramakrishna used to say, never say that God is this or that and limit God. Never limit God. Just like Ramakrishna hated lust and greed because they stop us from going towards God, there was one more thing which he hated, that is limiting God. Never limit God. That is what Ramakrishna is telling. Never say God is that, God is this. Do not limit God. No one has yet been able to know God as he really is. Everything is in this world has been tasted or uchishta, told by some people, explained or expressed by some people. The only thing which has been not completely or touched by our tongue, uchishta, is God. No one has yet been able to know God as he really is, and no one ever will. He is the ocean of consciousness. God is the ocean of consciousness. Sages like Shuka, Sanaka, and Narada drank a drop of that ocean and became God intoxicated. I have experienced, I hear means Ramakrishna. These are the words of Ramakrishna. And that is mentioned by Shashi Maharaj or Ramakrishna Anandaji. I have experienced God as with form, without form, and again beyond form. But what he really is, I do not know. After experiencing all these things, after experiencing God through different paths, after experiencing God as with form, without form, and beyond form, with attribute, without attribute, beyond attribute, and through so many different paths in Hinduism, and so many paths from the other religions, and even the modern religion too, just like the Brahmo Samaj and other things too, he experienced the same God in all these forms. Such a person, Ramakrishna, he is telling, I have experienced God as with form, without form, and again beyond form. But what he really is, I do not know. All religions of the world are but different paths to reach him. All religions of the world are but different paths to reach him. Follow sincerely that path laid down by the religion you were born in, and you will in time reach the abode of eternal bliss. Sincerely follow whichever path you have to. Take up that one path and follow. And Ramakrishna is telling, follow sincerely that path laid down by the religion you were born in, and you will in time reach the abode of eternal bliss. There was, Ramakrishna Anandaji is telling, there was not the least trace of egotism in Sri Ramakrishna. There was not the least trace of egotism in Ramakrishna. He could not say the word I and mine. He could not say the term I and mine. Instead of using the word mine, he used to say of this place, showing his body here, and point to himself with his finger. He couldn't use the word I and mine. For example, when he wanted to say that something was not his opinion, he would say, it is not the opinion of this place. because there was no ego consciousness in him. The cosmic ego of the Divine Mother, why couldn't he? Because he had obliterated his small ego, puny ego completely. So the cosmic ego of the Divine Mother worked through him. The playful Mother Kali, the Mother of the Universe, incarnated herself. Again, note it what Ramakrishna Nandaji would experience this is telling, which is very important. The playful Mother Kali, the Mother of the Universe, incarnated herself in the form of Sri Ramakrishna. Shishi Maharaj is telling the playful Mother Kali, the Mother of the Universe, incarnated herself in the form of Sri Ramakrishna to give her innumerable children knowledge and devotion. And that was Sri Ramakrishna. Now Shishi Maharaj is telling, after telling all these things, I have tried to give the reader some glimpses of Sri Ramakrishna's personality, but it is beyond my power to describe in full even a particle of his infinite glory. If you are eager to know the truth, then meditate on the all purifying, all compassionate life of Sri Ramakrishna. Shishi Maharaj is telling, I have tried to give the reader some glimpses of Sri Ramakrishna's infinite personality, but it is beyond my power, tells Shishi Maharaj or Ramakrishna Nandaji, to describe in full even a particle, a little of Sri Ramakrishna's infinite glory. So if you people want to, or if you are eager to know the truth, then meditate on the all purifying, all compassionate life of Sri Ramakrishna. Gradually, the self-luminous truth will reveal itself in your own heart, and you will attain infinite strength, infinite peace, and infinite joy. You will consider yourself as blessed. So we will take up other aspects of sayings of Ramakrishna Nandaji Maharaj about Sri Ramakrishna in our next classes. Now we will take up other aspect of Ramakrishna Nandaji's lives and teachings. As I told you, I am getting so many other new things about Swami Ramakrishna Nandaji or Shishi Maharaj, different aspects of his life. Let me take you through those new findings or incidences from the life of Swami Ramakrishna Nandaji. It was in the last phase of Master's life, when afflicted with cancer of the throat, Sri Ramakrishna was removed first to Shampukur and next to Kashipur. That here Shishi's life got the special direction, distinguishing himself from all other disciples. Now, Ramakrishna himself used to tell, why did Divine Mother give this cancer to him? He used to explain about that in different circumstances, telling that he had to take up the sins of many people who used to come to him. Apart from that, Ramakrishna himself used to tell it was for separating the real devotees, and even amongst those devotees, they were the highest class of devotees who were really dedicated to God and realized God. So when Ramakrishna fell sick, only when he had this cancer, the unreal devotees, the devotees who had come for some ulterior motive, they all left. But the true sincere devotees remained and served him. And even amongst those devotees, you could make a difference now. So now you can see Ramakrishna Anandaji or Shashi Maharaj in the last phase of Master's life, when Sri Ramakrishna was afflicted with cancer of the throat. Shashi's life got the special direction, distinguishing him from all the other disciples. Running an establishment for the Master and nursing him became a responsibility of the lay and monastic disciple. Now you could see who are really dedicated to the Guru, who are really dedicated to the ideal. So you could differentiate now easily. Many times Sri Ramakrishna used to give the example of, the Indian farmers, after growing the crops, grains or rice or whatever, when the wind is blowing, they will go to a place of a little higher altitude. They will make that from the wooden thing, take up the grain in the winnowing, that winnow, and they will allow that grain to fall down in that wind. So the real grain or the paddy or the rice which has stuff in it, because of the weight, will fall at one place. The one which doesn't have inside anything, which doesn't have stuff, it is only the husk, because of the weightlessness, the wind will carry it away and make it fall at another place. So the farmer separates the useless husk, the chaff, away, and the one which has the stuff which is very useful, one place. The grain is collected for the use of the people. So likewise, with this disease, the Divine Mother or Ramakrishna himself, now he knew all those things, but now he could separate the unreal with the real devotees. So now you can see Shashi's life got the special direction, distinguishing him from all the other disciples, even amongst the people with stuff. So what is the real stuff, you could see? So we could distinguish the life of all the different householder disciples and also the monastic disciples, and what was the intensity of the spiritual practices and their nature by this disease, cancer of Sri Ramakrishna. Now we can see Shashi's life got the special direction, distinguishing him from all the other disciples. Running an establishment for the Master and nursing him became a responsibility of the lay and the monastic disciples. While the lay disciples raised from among themselves the necessary funds, the young men formed into a group to take up the responsibility of running the establishment and attending on the Master. Many of them, including Shashi, were attending college, but the service of the Master seemed to them more important than the pursuit of their individual careers. I have seen The daughter and the father was alone in Bangalore. I have seen this. A great personality, he was a doctor, used to do a lot of service to the ashrama. At the fag end of his life, when his wife passed away due to cancer, I myself used to go and console him. He was a great devotee, used to do a lot of work to the ashram. He had two daughters. Now, these two daughters were interested only in their career. They were not interested in the father and his health. They were not bothered about him at all. One of the daughters told, I want to develop, she was a dentist, I want to do my master degree. The father told, I will give you money, I will send you to the best of the colleges in India. Don't go away to the foreign country when I am suffering here. I want that the children should be here with me during the end. No, she openly told, I am bothered about only about my career. I have to build up my career. You may go away, then what about my career? What are we studying? What are we doing building up our career for? If it is not to look after your family or your countrymen, what is the use of your career? Are you doing the career for your career's sake, or for money's sake, or for name and sake, or for your near and dear ones, the loved ones? If you don't understand this aspect, then what is the use of your education? So now you can see here the direct disciples, and like Shashi Maharaj, they are showing the path. What is your career when that can't be used for the service of your father, mother, guru, your religion, your God? So you can see many of the direct disciples, including Shashi, they were all attending college, but the service of the master seemed to them more important than the pursuit of their individual careers. Shashi was at first, Shashi was at the feet of the master 24 hours. Shashi or Swami Ramakrishna, one of the first to give up college, the college study, his career, and he became the 24-hour personal attendant of the ailing Guru. Now you can see the Divine Mother is differentiating who are really interested in spiritual life, who are really unselfish. So people are getting separated now. The inner circle, the outer circle, and in the inner circle, the pillars. So this self-imposed discipline of the personal service of Master became thenceforth the dominant note of the life of Shishi Maharaj. The service which he performed to masters, that is Sri Ramakrishna's living body, became, after the lifetime of Sri Ramakrishna, it got converted into the service of his picture, into the service of the remnant of that body, that is the Atma Rama, or the relics of Sri Ramakrishna, with the feeling of his living presence in it all the time. Even when Shashi Maharaj, when he was fully engaged in the active work of propagating Sri Ramakrishna's message in the world, personal service, seva, of his living presence in his likeness was a feature of his daily life. Whereas all the other disciples were spending much time in the practice of meditation and similar devotional practices, it is said that Shashi had hardly any time for all those things. His time was mostly taken up with the bedside service of Sri Ramakrishna, done with zeal, not with morose attitude, but it was done with zeal that overlooked all considerations of rest and sleep for himself. He didn't care for his rest and sleep at all. And by this service, what did he get? Is it, will it go it in vain? Will it go in vain? And by this intense service, Shashi Maharaj gained the Master's abounding grace, and through that devotion and knowledge of the highest order. Hindu tradition holds that there is no higher sadhana than the service of the Guru. Let us take up different Upanishad. The Chandogya Upanishad in the Vedas mention the case of Jabala Satyakama. Who was this Jabala Satyakama? He was the son of a prostitute. He saw the children, young children, going to get education to the Gurukula. He too, while growing up, got the interest to study. Now, he went to the Guru. The Guru, as usual, once you go to the school, you are asked, who are your parents? Your biodata. What are they doing? Where is your house? What's your name? Likewise, the Guru asked him. He didn't know who his father was. So he went to his mother. Mother told the truth. She told, my dear child, I do not know who's your father. Because she was a dasi, she was a prostitute. Now, any other person, he may get upset or he may feel ashamed to tell that and will not reveal the truth. But this boy went to the Guru and told the truth. He told, my mother doesn't know who the father is. So, seeing that, the Guru told, you are the real Brahmana by your nature. You hold on to the truth. You are so a great lover of truth. You never gave up truth, considering the insult you get if you tell the truth. But you never cared for that insult or anything, but you hold on to the truth. So by nature, you are a Brahmana. It is not by birth, but by the dint of your guna and karma. That is what Lord Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita. All that Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, the divisions have been made. Chatur Varna have been created, or Srishti has been done by me based on character, guna and karma, the work you do, the action you perform. So now you see that Satyakama, the Guru gave him the name Satyakama, the lover of truth. Jabala is the name of the mother. So he gets the name because he had no name at all. So he is given the name, he has been made the great Rishi, Satyakama Jabala. Now what did the Guru give him the job? What was the Guru's command to him to get knowledge? The Guru ordered this Satyakama Jabala, when he went to the Gurukula to get education, to tend the cattle. They were given some maybe hundreds. He told, you have to serve them nicely and make them more than 1,000 and come back. So Satyakama Jabala took up the command of the Guru, the service of the Guru, as a command of the Guru, went about tending the cattle of his master with so much of intensity and love. The Guru command was put into practice, that in the course of it he attained illumination. One of the bull in that cow himself gave him Brahma Gnana, the knowledge. So the command of the Guru was followed by him with so much of sincerity and faith, and he got the knowledge. So the Guru Seva, putting into the practice the words of the Guru, can give you the highest that has been shown in our Upanishads, in our Vedas. Another Upanishad, Shvetashvatar Upanishad, closes with the clarion note that the truths of Vedanta will shine only in who is full of devotion to God and equal devotion to Guru. What is Shvetashvatar Upanishad telling? The Shvetashvatar Upanishad closes with the clarion note that the truths of the Vedanta will shine only in one who who is full of devotion to God and equal devotion to the Guru. In fact, the Indian spiritual tradition maintains that there is only one Guru for all, and that is Ishvara or God. God manifesting as Anugraha Shakti, redeeming power of love. So who is that? God manifesting as Anugraha Shakti, redeeming power of love, is Guru. So Guru is the Anugraha Shakti, the redeeming power of God. Guru is the, so you have got a new definition of Guru. Note it, write it down. It's very important. Who is Guru? Guru is the Anugraha Shakti of God. What is Anugraha Shakti? Redeeming power of love. So Guru is the redeeming power of love of God. So now, have you found another example like that in our tradition? The disciples of Shankaracharya were four, we all know that. One of them was unintelligent. The other three were very intelligent and they could grasp the wonderful teachings of Shankaracharya. But Shankaracharya would wait to this unintelligent, dull disciple to come to start the lessons to all his disciples. The other three disciples who were very intelligent had this attitude of tatsara to the other disciple because he is unintelligent, he can't understand. Why is our Guru waiting for him always? While we, the real intelligent students, he should give to us. So the other unintelligent student would always do the seva of the Guru Shankaracharya, washing his clothes, doing his personal this thing. Though he may be unintelligent, but he had intense devotion to the Guru Shankaracharya and used to serve him intensely. Until he came, he would never start the classes. But the other three felt it was useless. He doesn't understand anything. He's dull and drab. What is the use? Now, that disciple, unintelligent disciple, had gone to the other side of the river to dry the clothes of his Guru. So he was late to the class. Now, the others were restless. Why is our Guru waiting for him? We are the intelligent students sitting here, the disciples. It is waiting for the dull and drab person who has gone to the other side. He's so dull, he is meant for only doing some work, seva, that's all. Then Shankaracharya could understand, fathom the thoughts of these other disciples. So to teach them a lesson, he called his name, come. Then immediately the command of the Guru was so much that he started running. He didn't care even for his life. He just walked into the water without any hesitation because it was a command of the Guru. So much of devotion to the Guru. So the devotion of the Guru, his devotion, that sincerity towards the word to follow the command even at the risk of his life, happened. The devotion to the Guru made the river which was flowing in spate, started producing Kamala Pushpa, lotus, wherever he kept the feet. He's not bothered about him drowning in the river or getting washed out or he may lose his life. His only thing was to serve the Guru, and command of the Guru was everything to him. He just ran. And now everywhere he kept his feet, there was one lotus coming up and supporting his feet. He could walk on the river and cross and came ready. Gurudeva, what shall I do? What seva shall I do? So you could see, he could show the greatness of that disciple, though he may be dull and drab, but because of the sincerity, that Guru Shankaracharya, that redeeming power in him, power of love of the God, the Guru, opened up his heart and he became so intelligent after that. He composed, he invented a new meter, Totaka. That's why he's called Totakacharya. A new meter, Chandas. You know, there are sonnet, couplet, and other things in English like that in Sanskrit. The chandas, the meters are there. So he invented a new meter and composed a beautiful stotra on his guru, Shankaracharya. That is, we sing that great song of Shankaracharya's guru, written by this disciple. So, because of that intensity of devotion to the guru, automatically the knowledge which was there, the guru, Shankaracharya, the redeeming power. Who is guru? The redeeming power of the love of God is guru. Anugraha Shakti, redeeming power of love of God. So that opened up, the guru opened up that wheel of ignorance and made him intelligent, the most intelligent. So that's why in the Indian tradition, the guru is considered so high. He's given the position even above father and mother. He's given the equal position. Guru Brahma, the Chaturmukha Brahma, Guru Vishnu, who is Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Lord Parameshwara Shiva, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, the highest Nirakar Nirguna Parabrahma. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So who is the Guru? God manifesting as Anugraha Shakti, redeeming power of love on this earth is Guru. So many examples are there in our Hindu tradition. This manifestation of Guru's redeeming power of love may take place in many ways in relation to different individuals, giving them the spiritual stimulation that uplift them. Generally, the human agency through which it manifests, generally the human agency through which this power, redeeming power of love of God, it manifests is called the Guru. But this deeper meaning of the Guru concept is often forgotten and is taken just as a person. Sri Ramakrishna, whom Shashi Maharaj served, was not an ordinary manifestation of Guru Shakti. He was a world teacher, Jagat Guru, a divine incarnation, Avatara, through whom the redeeming power of God was fully manifested. To serve him was the veritable service of God. Sadhanas, spiritual disciplines, are after all means of communion with divine. The term bhakti, that is devotion, how does it come? It is derived from the root word bhaj, meaning bhaj means service. So devotion is not just emotional expression of your shedding tears and falling on the ground and other things, but the real aspect of bhakti, devotion, is expressed through service. It comes from the root word bhaj. So bhakti or devotion is service. The love of the mother towards the child, the love of the child towards the mother is expressed not in just praising the child or the mother, it is expressed in service, in loving service. So true service is born out of love. So love or devotion is nothing but service. Seva. The months that Shashi Maharaj spent at Kashipur forms a unique expression of such loving service. It was perhaps a most, it was perhaps a much more potent means of spiritual realization than any practice ordinarily known as spiritual sadhana. That's why Swami Vivekananda is also told, and we have also heard Ramakrishna telling. Swami Vivekananda himself mentions to one of his disciples, the only time, the only place when you can give up your spiritual sadhana is for the service, seva. If you have to see God and serve in human beings, only there you can give up your spiritual discipline. That is because the service to human beings in the form of God, serving human beings or living beings, seeing God in them is the highest sadhana, is greater than any other spiritual sadhana, discipline. The highest spiritual discipline is seeing God in man or woman and serving them. Only for that service, seva, you could give up your spiritual practice. That is what Swami Vivekananda tells this. My Guru used to tell this. Who is the Guru of Vivekananda? Ramakrishna. So, Shashi Maharaj, the months that Shashi spent at Kashipur serving Sri Ramakrishna forms a unique expression of such loving service. It was perhaps a much more potent means of spiritual realization than any practice ordinarily known as spiritual sadhana, spiritual discipline. So now we will continue this different incidences from the life of Ramakrishna Nandaji in our next class. Now we will take up the complete works of Ramakrishna Nandaji, which we have got here. The complete works, in that we shall study what Ramakrishna Nandaji Maharaj or Shashi Maharaj is telling us. Yesterday we saw how Ramakrishna cured many drunkards and addicts. Now Shashi Maharaj is telling, by asking them to offer whatever they take. So Sri Ramakrishna asked these drunkards and addicts offer whatever they drank or they took to God first. They began to acquire the habit of offering other things also to God. Then they began to inquire about this God to whom they were offering, and thus their minds were turned more and more towards God and less towards sensual pleasures. In this way, Sri Ramakrishna cured many drunkards, many alcoholics, many addicts. This, Shashi Maharaj is telling, this is always the way that a true teacher proceeds. So we see that many teacher telling the disciples, no, don't tell lies, don't drink, don't take meat. So they do all that, give them only the do's and don'ts. But the way of Sri Ramakrishna was different. Shashi Maharaj is telling, in this way, Sri Ramakrishna cured many drunkards, addicts, and is also telling what is the way of the true teacher. This is always the way that a true teacher proceeds. And he gives an example, Shashi Maharaj gives an example. No one will say to a baby, now the just born baby, no one will say to a baby, you will have to walk 4 miles for your food. The baby will die. It is equally beyond the strength of an ordinary man to become perfect all at once. You can't give sannyasa or renunciation to everybody at once. They cannot have it. It is beyond the strength of an ordinary person to become perfect all at once. The duty of a true teacher, therefore, Shashi Maharaj is telling, the duty of a true teacher, therefore, is not to resist nature, but to give nature its course and gradually turn, gradually turn it towards the higher direction. So when people come to us, we see their character, their habits, their faults, and we shun them. No, accept them as they are. Allow that nature its course and gradually turn it. That is what Lord Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita. Nabuddhivedam janayet agnanam karmasanginam. Don't disturb. Let the sleeping dog lie. Gradually change them. Come down to their level. So the duty of the true teacher, Therefore, is not to resist nature, but to give nature its course and gradually turn it. Now, Shashi Maharaj, while giving us this wonderful nature of the Guru, he gives this example. If you wish to stop a train, you must do it gradually. Say now, the other vehicles like car or bus or the lorry, you can stop it quickly with the brake. It will come to a screeching halt. But can you do the same with the train? You can't. If you wish to stop a train, you must do it gradually. Otherwise, you will overturn the cars and kill many people. So there is a saying in English about surgery. So surgery is also called operation. What is the saying in English? Operation was successful, but the patient collapsed. Operation or surgery was successful, but the patient died. What is the use of your surgery then? So you may stop the train. If you wish to stop a train, you must do it gradually. Otherwise, you will overturn the cars and kill many people. So stopping by degrees is successful as well as natural. So great teachers, the great gurus, never ask a man to become perfect at once. And in this respect, Shishimaj is telling our scriptures, that is the Vedas, the Puranas, the scriptures of the Hinduism, he tells, are the wisest. Now he is quoting Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda taught in the West that other religions give only one coat for Henry, John, and James. Only one coat, one sized. It is not tailor made. They will make a size and you give to everybody, Henry, John, and Tom, or anybody. Vivekananda taught in the West that other religions give one coat for all. But it is not possible for one coat to fit everybody. In the same way, religion, one path cannot suit all people. Now, Shashi Maharaj takes up one of the teachings of Christ. He himself, according to Ramakrishna, was the disciple of Christ. Will you please excuse me? I'll just take leave for half a minute. Please hold on. Sorry for that inconvenience. Om Namo Narayanaya. Sorry for the inconvenience. So now Ramakrishna Ji is taking this wonderful teaching of Christ. We all know that Ramakrishna used to tell in his last life, he was one of the disciples of Christ, both Shishi and Sharat. Now Shishi Maharaj is telling, Christ taught, if a man strikes you on the one cheek, turn to him the other cheek. This is all very nice, but who can follow this teaching? It is only another Christ. Only a Christ can follow this highest teaching. So although Christ was an avatar Purusha, great incarnation, Shashi Maharaj himself is telling he was not a teacher. He was not as good a teacher. Why? Christ taught that you must not cast pearls before swine. If you cast pearls or costly diamonds in front of the pig, swine, what is the use? It doesn't know its value. It will not be useful. But Christ himself actually did the same. A true teacher always goes down to the level of the taught. Suppose a graduate of Oxford goes to inspect some ordinary schools, a primary school, and gives a problem in integral calculus. Would you consider him a good teacher? No. A teacher who can never let himself down to the level of the taught is not a true teacher. This blame you can never lay at the door of this great religion, Hinduism, says Shashi Maharaj. Hinduism has a path, a religion for the sattvika nature. It has a different path or religion for the rajasika nature. And Hinduism has different path for the tamasika nature. Every man differs in his powers. Therefore, each should be taught in his own way. Now, Shashi Maharaj tells that Hinduism is not one religion, it is a combination of religions. Hinduism is not one religion, but it's a combination of religion. I just want to cite one example taken from the life of Swami Chinmayananda Maharaj, who was the founder of the Chinmaya mission. So let me take you through this incidents from the life of Swami Chinmayananda Maharaj. Swami Chinmayananda Maharaj was a renowned saint who founded the Chinmaya mission, who was from Kerala. Once, a secular minded journalist, who generally, that secular minded journalist, those journalists generally show Hinduism in poor light compared with other religions. He asked the Swamiji, he asked this Swami Chinmayanandaji, who is the founder of Islam? Prophet Muhammad answered Chinmayanandaji. The journalist again asked, who is the founder of Christianity? Jesus Christ. Who is the founder of Hinduism? Now, Chinmayanandaji was late to answer. Thinking that Swamiji has no answer, this secular-minded, downgrading Hinduism, that lady journalist proceeded. Ah, you are caught. There is no founder for Hinduism, and hence Hinduism is not a religion or dharma at all. Now, Swami Chinmayanandaji said, you are right. Hinduism is not a religion. You are right. Hinduism is not a religion. It is a science. Now, this lady journalist couldn't understand. She did not understand what Swamiji told. Now, Swamiji put some questions to this lady journalist. What did Chinmayanandaji question this lady journalist? Who is the founder of physics? That lady journalist answered, no one person. Who is the founder of chemistry? No one person. Who is the founder of biology? No single person. Now, that lady journalist told many scientists. Many persons from time to time contributed to the wealth of the knowledge of any science. Now, Swami Chinmayanandaji continued, likewise, Hindu Dharma is a science, like physics, chemistry, biology. Hindu Dharma is a science developed over the centuries, contributed by saints and sages, rishis, for giving right direction to the society by their own research and experiences. Islam has only one book, Quran. Christianity has only one book, Bible. But for Hinduism, I can take you to a library and show you hundreds of books, because Hinduism is a scientific religion called Sanatana Dharma, eternal Dharma. So now you can understand the teaching of Shashi Maharaj telling that Hinduism is a universal religion. It has a path for the Sattvika nature, for the Rajasika, a different path, for the Tamasika, a different path. Every human being differs in his powers, his nature. Therefore, each should be taught in his own way. That's why Hinduism is not one religion. It is a combination of religion. It's a pure science. It is for all the past, for all the present, and for all the future. For this reason, it is called Sanatana Dharma. Why is Hinduism called Sanatana Dharma? It is eternal. And now Shashi Maharaj describing the wonderful Hindu religion as a mother is telling, just as a mother with several children knows what dish each child of hers to get, just as a mother with several children knows what dish will suit each one best and prepares that for him. So also this Sanatana Dharma Hinduism is like a mother. She knows what each of her children require. So she has cooked different dishes to place before different ones. Somewhere this mother called Hinduism says, sacrifice meat before the divine mother Kali and other deities Durga. And to another, this mother called Hinduism has said, you must not injure the least living being. So different path for different natured people. For the Sattvikas, you must not injure the least living being. For the Tamasikas and Rajasikas, you can eat meat, offering it to God. If a man drinks wine, if a man eats flesh, this is according to the lower nature of the human being. But if a man can abstain from these things, he is a higher man. That is why we should teach. We should not blame anyone. We should teach according to their nature. Go down to their level, lift them up to our level. We should not blame anybody. We should never judge anybody. Ramakrishna Antaji is telling, but we should lead everyone up gradually. So what is the goal of Vedas? At one place, Swami Vivekananda tells, to make everybody Brahmana. What is that? To make everybody Brahmana is the goal of Vedas. To lift him to that level of Brahmanatva. Brahmanatva is not by birth, but by dint of nature. If you go and study, Buddha Bhagavan has given a list of what is the quality of Brahmana. It is also there in Hinduism, but if you can get it from Buddha, it will be still wonderful. So we should not blame anyone. We should not find fault with anyone, but we should lead everyone up gradually. 99% of people cannot pull up on their own in this world without eating meat, fish, and other things. Let them eat whatever they want. They cannot do, they are weak minded. All over the world, man is eating fish, flesh. Only in India, we find some few, and others, chiefly the Brahmanas of the southern India, who are strict vegetarians, who are influenced by the great acharyas like Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramanujacharya, Vallabhacharya, and Nimbarkacharya. So they have introduced their disciples not to eat flesh, meat. Only in India we find some few, those chiefly the Brahmanas of southern India who are strict vegetarians. So the Hindu scripture says it is all right to eat meat or flesh, but sacrifice it to the Divine Mother. This is why foreigners who are not conversant with the teachings of our scriptures do not understand this wonderful magnanimity of this great religion and misrepresent our religion. But Hinduism blows both hot and cold from the same mouth. Yet it is not contradictory. It is intended for all people in all countries, in all ages. It's for the past, it is for the present, it is for the future. Therefore, a true Hindu never finds faults with any other religion. Now, again, Shishi Maharaj is quoting from Bhagavad Gita. As Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham. By whatever path you seek to reach me, by that path you will attain me. I will take you through that itself. Krishna tells, promises in Bhagavad Gita. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham. By whatever path you seek to reach me, by that path itself I will take you to me. This is how the Hindu scriptures have taught. I am the only path. I am the only way. Because people have misunderstood this. They have thought the special savior whom they follow to be the only one. Thus, Christian believers believe that Christianity is the only way, and Mohammedans have insisted they are believing in Muhammad is the only way. But Hindus who have had a broader teaching should never condemn any religion. You should, however, never give up your own religion. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell this story. A man was sinking a well, a borehole or a well, and dug 20 cubits down. When a man came and said, "Who told you to dig here? Just a little farther down, you will strike a rock. Come with me, I shall show you a better place." So the man followed him to the new spot. But after he had dug some 40 cubits, another man came and exclaimed, "My dear fellow, you will never get a drop of water here. Come, I will show you a place where dig a few feet and you find water." The man again followed him and went down, this time 80 cubits, but found no water. Thus he dug in all 140 cubits, which had it all been in one spot, would surely have brought him water in that first place itself. In the same way, we should not go from one religion to another. Suppose I take up my religion, God may not come at once, but after a few years, if I am sincere and determined, He is sure to come. If a man stick to his own religion and practice it sincerely, I am sure he will realize God in this life itself. For a man to believe that he is the chosen child of God, to whom alone God has revealed the truth, is absurd. Why should be God so partial? God is not so limited to only choose only one person, but God is not limited, is not absurd. He is constantly revealing himself to all human beings. It is right, however, that you should stick to your own religion and love that, but without condemning any other. Just as a daughter in law in the house loves her mother in law, father in law, brother in law, and all the other relatives, but the greatest love of her heart is always for her husband. So you can respect all the other religions, but your love and practice should be only your religion. This is what Sri Ramakrishna came to preach. And when these ideas were proclaimed at the Parliament of Religions at Chicago, by Swami Vivekananda, they were accepted by all the civilized nations of the world. Every man in this world is born with a teacher, and if you follow his teaching with earnestness, even in this life, you will be able to realize infinite perfection in yourself. So we will take up other aspects of the complete works of Swami Ramakrishna Anandaji in our next session. Today we will stop. So if you have any questions, if you have any doubts on what we have discussed, you can ask. Any questions, any doubts? There are no questions on the YouTube live chat. Here on the Google, if you have any questions or doubts, otherwise we will conclude with the prayer. Om Priyatam Pundarikakshaha Sarvayagneswaro Harihi Tasmin Tushte Jagat Tushtam Pridite Priditam Jagat Harihi Om Tatsat Sri Ramakrishnaarpanamastu. So on the Women's Day, internationally the Women's Day is celebrated. Here in South Africa, we have arranged a wonderful topic by Dr. Usha Vastarema, who is a renowned neuroscientist, who has done a PhD and postdoctorate in different subjects. So she's taking up different wonderful topics already. We have seen in one of the venues the wellness and health topics were so interesting and good. Many people were benefited out of it. And now such wonderful topic will be taken up again. And it will be in the Ramakrishna Kutir in the ashrama where I live here in Johannesburg, 69 on A. Blandford Road. Unit, the complex number is 108. Number 9 is the Kutir. So all are welcome. Since it is Women's Day and it is conducted by Women Empowerment, Sharda Devi Women Empowerment, people need not confuse that it is only for women, not for men. All are welcome to the Kutir to attend this wonderful program. Thank you. Namaste. Om Namo Narayana.